no Cassidy, no Cassiopeia. Meanwhile, the same red side Zach banned LeBlanc away from Frog, and one that he can single-handedly do a lot of work on, and no Kennen for the blue team.
Yeah, the Cassidy ban actually stands out to me a little bit here.
Yeah.
Overly forcing the LeBlanc ban because Cassidy can be good against LeBlanc, but I also wouldn't be too surprised if we saw a big-time split-pushing strategy coming out from Echo Fox here if they can control Taliyah plus a stronger top lane champion, because the Cassidy and the Taliyah are probably the two best mid laners at collapsing on the side lanes to stop a split push from working. Curious if that pans out or if they really just didn't want to play against King's Cassidy.
Unsure exactly, but that's where they went for this one. Elise on the table, grabbed it by Acadian. Same pick as previously. They first rounded the Elise in the last game as well. And this time, Team Dignitas going for a very different look. Not going for the Rakan, even though it's on the table. They're going for Caitlyn Karma, which is a team fight composition. But neither of these teams, or neither of these champions, I should say, have engaged tools.
Yeah, I do feel like as the NALCS gets later into the split, Caitlyn becomes more and more of the S tier of AD carries, able to win the laning phase, and feels fairly unmatched in the late game with the way these teams are playing. Lots of in and out, very hard to catch, incredibly long range. And the best rapid fire cannon and Shiv means you can get those pokes out. Feels pretty good. Double marksman comes in already, and it's something we've seen as well. I want to say it was another Echo Fox game where it's the Cassidy ban into grabbing blind Lucian. And again, Lucian, as was mentioned previously, should be good into Cassidy. There's clearly something that's making them do this, though, because it's not the first time I've seen this situation. Yeah, I can see a late game Cassidy just laughing at a late game AD carry, right? He just jumps in, takes 80% of your health, presses Zhonya's, comes out of Zhonya's, riffs rocks on you again, and you die. Victor is similar, though. It's actually just your early laning phase is a little better on Victor than it would be on Cassidy against Lucian, because the way these matches play out, and I will not say that this is an unwinnable game because it does have ebbs and flows. The Lucian will probably shove in the Victor early, will probably be better all the way up until level 6, probably better all the way up until level 14 or 15, but it's when the Victor gets full Hex Core, Lich Bane, plus one other item is when it completely flips, and then Victor starts becoming crazy. We've talked about this matchup a lot as the casters as well, and I'm personally of the opinion that the Victor is actually a good counter pick into it. I would rather be in the Victor's shoes than Lucian's shoes, but we so often see this Lucian picked very early. Well, we'll see what it ends up being here in this one. Ignite Lucian has been par for the course. It's very much being a lane bully. It's playing aggressively, trying to find those kills. And we'll see if it comes through. Renekton, Thresh, Fiora all off the table. One final ban here for Echo Fox before Team Dignitas get their first pick of the second round. This time we've got mismatched lanes available. Team Dignitas still need a jungler. Both teams need a top laner. Echo Fox need a support. Yeah, and Echo Fox will not be able to actually to counterpick that soul lane. So it's smart of Team Dignitas to just lock in a jungler right here. Make it so they can get the final counter pick for Someday up in the top lane as well. And previously, when they did get last pick for Someday, it worked well initially. They got the early lead, but it turned back from there later on. We'll see if they can look a little bit better here in this one. Of course, they know Caitlyn Karma is the lane. Very, very strong duo, has some good push power. Decent escape tools, and it's going to be Blitzcrank against it anyway. And not the burstiest of lanes alongside of Varus. That's going to be the play, though, and they're going to pick a blind Rumble to roll it all out. They needed some magic damage somewhere to complement the Elise. Blitzcrank not exactly the biggest tank, though. Yeah, it's another one of these Echo Fox team compositions. Well, actually, Team Dignitas had it last game, where there's very little damage, and almost all the pick potential is from the Blitz and the Elise. And Camille top. Camille top. Mean, Big was really excited and shaking his hands around, but Camille top you would assume is more likely than Karma top, although I've seen it, to be fair. It's actually possible this flexes back. Oh, man. I will wait to reserve judgment here, but Camille is in, and I think the big Camille buffs were in 7.12, though, and we're still on 7.11, where she got better shield cooldowns, she got better Q damage. Someday says Camille is still going to blast Rumble. The matchup used to be great way before she got nerfed a bunch. I haven't seen her very much. That's going to be the pickup, though. Yeah, the matchup can definitely run away for the Camille if you do that. Also, last night, SKT picked the Camille. Huni played it in game 1, lost to Jarvan. So there are people that are willing to do this pick, and it was Gate who kind of pulled it out as a support, and since he was in the game somewhere, I got a little confused. It's like, oh, of course, the Camille support. But very much Team Dignitas looking to scale, because if they get to late game with this team composition, Camille hops on someone and a Victor puts in any damage, I mean, they got this, and Echo Fox is going to have to apply a bunch of early pressure.
Well, we'll see if they can do that. Lucian is all about early pressure, so is the Blitzcrank, but you talk about scaling to late game. The wave clear is there. Caitlyn, Karma, Varus, not Varus, I should say, Victor, all very good at that. It's going to be a fun one to watch for, and we agree the onus is on Echo Fox to have some early pressure here in this one. Eyes on gates. Blitzcrank was one of the only engaged tools the team has. And we'll see if it'll come through onto this one as he load into the Rift for it could be the final game of the week. We're going to have to see if Echo Fox can pull the comeback or if Team Dignitas close it out 2-0 and remain in first place. Game 2 is go.
And Echo Fox, I feel like, are kind of challenging themselves with these team compositions, or specifically this one, because they are not a team that is good at closing out swift and decisive victories. And I feel like because they are very much in this shove the wave, kill early turrets, get a big lead, and then win via that lead, it doesn't match up well with their team's strength necessarily, because they have that huge issue of closing game 1 against Team Dignitas.
Yeah.
But just because you have a problem doesn't mean you have to only play the super late game scaling compositions that are free wins. And because Echo Fox clearly wants to be a versatile team thinking in the long term, it's just going to be tough for them based on what we saw in game 1.
Absolutely agree, but we'll see if they can overcome these difficulties and if the team can continue to improve. It's been a better split than most for them so far. We'll see what else can happen. Someday waiting around in the top lane Tribrush. There's no one to party with, though. Just going to be sad and alone, this poor Camille. No Yordles to keep company just yet. Waiting for what laning phase looks like. Waiting for the jungle starts. Looks like Shrimp will be doing the continued Raptors start. Certainly has had the nod as the primary Team Dignitas starter now. Doing pretty well for himself on this one. And looks like Acadian will also be doing Raptors. And neither player getting much of a leash. Looks like maybe the Camille will help, but there will be nothing at all for Acadian. He's going to be by himself in the jungle.
It's going to be a little bit tough for Acadian early, and Someday gave a decent pull. I'd say he gave about 3 or 4 seconds, so track the timing that these go down. Oh, hook in the bottom lane.
Yeah, means almost nothing, though, because there's no follow-up damage regardless, so Big takes a punch to the face. Roughly it. The waves are going back and forth, and yeah, the Kha'Zix is pretty much half a camp ahead right now, already partway through the red buff, as Acadian just now finishing off with the Raptors. That leash certainly helped.
Yeah, 13 seconds faster on the Raptors between Shrimp with the leash from Camille versus Acadian on the Raptors. But funnily enough, Shrimp still took a bunch of damage and is just going to do the 3-camp clear into recall. It's a speedy route, but definitely not a very healthy one for Shrimp's Kha'Zix here.
As long as there's no crazy ganks, again, he'll be fine for it anyway. One nice side benefit is you get to recall near the top side of the map. If you have enough health, you're there if a gank comes through. As unlikely as it would be in this matchup, you at least are on this side of the map for a little bit longer. Obviously, very different paths. Acadian doing very similar things. That level 3 getting the scuttle, looking at mid. But he has heal. Oh yeah, it's heal, not cleanse, actually. He had cleanse during the champ select phase a little bit.
Possibly
this is a read.
The last game.
Look at Acadian. He's going to steal away like half the jungle because of this.
Yeah.
I think he read what Shrimp's path is going to be and just is going to take away 1 or 2 camps down here.
Yeah, well, with an extended pull on the Raptors, either he's being super inefficient by running over to the blue or you're doing the 3-camp clear. Generally speaking, like if you're in solo queue, I feel like the 3-camp clear into recall is one of the best. But in pro play against a smart jungler like Acadian, it can be punished. Now, the question is, does he wait for a kill? Or is he going to get caught in his own jungle?
Yeah, this now actually a little bit greedy by Acadian. He has to know the timing of when the Kha'Zix would come over on this side, but Frog's going to zone him out, so it's the 2v2 kind of disjointed on both sides here, and it's going to be the disengage on both these ends. Froggen taking another Deathfire touch to the face with that laser. And Shrimp actually able to get several pieces of that camp back, so he's going to be okay for himself. The blue buff's still gone. Acadian still does get the better of it. Just very interesting how it played out. Yeah,
I mean, Shrimp does make it back into his jungle in time. He doesn't have the blue buff. How much will Acadian try and punish his... The real question, though, because
still up.
Acadian still only has the 3 camps. Like, he's super starved in comparison to Shrimp right now as far as the overall gold total, but if he can get this kill, it's all worth it.
I think he might be able to try. Blitzcrank hoping to backfill here on this one. As Big is hoping to maybe help out with this one. Cocoon and a hook. If he face checks it, he doesn't know that he's maybe spotted. There's Cocoon. There's some damage up, damage across there. Hooks him back into the wall. Exhausted on to buy some time, and here comes Shrimp. Now, how far can he really go in this one? Keith jumps the wall! Auto attack comes in, gets the first blood. Now he's left out to dry, so Gate back over to punch him into the air. Cocoon's gonna hit one. The stun comes across to Laud. who joins the fray, gets a trap down the cupcake onto Gate. Apparently robots have a sweet tooth as Gate's running away for this one. 200 health left onto him. Shield finally pops. What a crazy fight to be had. A 1-for-1 first blood to Keith.
Whew, and that cocoon right at the end, narrowly missing Shrimp and hitting the guy behind him. Keen also pretty low. The fight's not over. People could still be in the mid lane. No vision in the jungle.
Keen has mana.
Froggen and Keen are so close right now. Someone's
Froggen
trying to take him.
And he pops the heal to stay alive. And now Kaden behind the wall. Suddenly a team. Suddenly friendship. And down he goes. The hug from the Spider Queen takes him out. Meanwhile, more fights the top side as Sunday has popped his fervor, gotten all the jack damage there, and taking some fire damage.
These types of volatile fights are things that Echo Fox wants to
can he kill him? Ah! Flash or flash is going to be okay.
Very exciting moment in the top lane right there, but just thinking about the pace that Echo Fox is trying to play with, everyone is going for that big play this early on because that's what they want to do. They want to get the early kills. They want to shove down the turrets extremely early on in the game, and Team Dignitas is just trying to keep up to it. Look at the summer spells. They're all used. We just saw everyone use Flash. Surprising level of patience there by Acadian Gate, not going for Shrimp, but instead going for Big. Exhaust buys him a lot of time, and he has Flash this entire time. Keith charging the Q, flashing and releasing, gets it. But then the fight gets pretty crazy right here. I think they flashed out a little early. Watch the cocoon from Acadian. Misses Shrimp. If that lands, Shrimp is executed, and then they might even be able to 2v1 Laud. But it hits Laud, who's full health and can continue chasing. And then it stayed and continued, and Keen ended up dying, which gives Froggen a lead. Just craziness in the early game.
And we just saw it. Acadian had lost his blue buff to a jungle invade by Shrimp. As far as the junglers are concerned, they both got a kill. And they've got some pretty similar amounts of money. 200 lead for Shrimp right now, despite being down that assist. So he has farmed a bit better, despite some of the earlier steals from Acadian. Level 6 for both top laners, and that Elise is on top of a ward.
Yeah, a very recent ward.
Yeah.
I feel like Looper doing Acadian a little bit of an injustice, not being able to call out that ward being there. He does find Shrimp and gets jumped on.
Done. Can they get much out of this one, though? Nice burn damage, though. Look at the punishment on a Someday. Repels into range, then going to buy a little bit more time, but the kill still comes through. And Shrimp is next. Acadian double kill in the top lane. Well played by the 2-on-2 of Echo Fox.
Yeah, and I understand the idea of Team Dignitas saying they have a level advantage. Level 6 and level 5 versus a 6 and a 4. But it's a level 6 Rumble, dude, and they sit on the equalizer for that fight by fighting in that corridor. So missed execution, could kind of see the idea, but it cost them early.
And the defensive item, oh, that hook, though, into a ton of damage here in this one. Can Big even get out of this one? No, he cannot. The damage output is there. Keith going to withstand this. Laud can't pick him off. Let's still keep him alive anyway. So I was going to say, the Ninja Tabi of Looper kept him really alive in that fight for how much punishment he was taking. Went for the defensive option first, and it certainly paid off for him.
Yeah, Ninja Tabi Dorn Shield, and just relying on the massive base damage. They land the hook shot stun, but just a gorgeous equalizer. Shrimp even going to half health there, and Someday has no flash after jumping in. Good timing on the ultimate to knock Acadian out, but the damage had been done. Acadian actually gets the double kill, even though Looper did the majority of the work. But that'll help him with his experience too, because he lost a lot of experience going for all these aggressive plays.
Absolutely the case, and Acadian wants to fight even more. Level 6 on a Shrimp, though. A couple of wards come down. He's not going to get punished for it too badly. Close enough to 6 for Acadian himself. We'll get that rank 2 form swap soon enough. As we settle down a little bit more into this game. 2,500 gold puts Echo Fox ahead, but we've told that story before, and it hasn't always resulted in a win for them. But it's a pretty heartening start. Keith's going to lose his recall. Quick 8 gold to Big. Rolling in dough now.
Yeah, I mean, if Echo Fox doesn't continue to push this, it's more indicative of their struggles as a team, because the stuff that needed to go their way very early kind of has gone their way. Love the way they're really pushing the tempo, going for all these plays. Acadian is completely disregarding the hard farm and really just trying to invade the jungle as much as possible so his lanes can continue pushing. Look at Froggen, 36 CS up on the Victor. I mean, he's smashing that matchup right now.
Yeah, he is.
Looks to continue to do so.
Vampire certainly helps in this one. The blue buff will keep Keen a little bit in a better spot as he can spam a bit more, but Froggen's done a good job of not getting hit by the laser while also not giving wave clear tools and options to Keen. They're going to sit in his brush, wait for Big, who was hugging the wall. He knows better than to...
And the minion wave, they're being so cautious.
Well, it's a 3v2.
If Keith lands an ultimate, though, they could try and dive anyway.
Lands is slow. McGain's just waiting. There's no play to be had. They're going to get right back out of this one. No fight just yet. Back to the mid lane instead. Gate is fast. He rushed Boots of Mobility, trying to get back and forth across these lanes. Keen is flashless, and Gate has his. there's a chance you just go for that flash hook under the turret and pick him off, but not the play just yet. Shrimp keeping a 1-level lead over Acadian, though. Well played to him, despite all of Acadian's kills here.
Yeah, and even if Gate and Acadian aren't getting the ganks right now, Dignitas generally have to play with that level of respect that the possibility is there.
Speaking of level of respect, actually has to get away from Shrimp as well. Evolved Claws, you don't win those one-on-ones in the river like that, so a retreat, Ninja Tabby or not from Looper. The ward of the wall, and Shrimp should be safe in taking this one down.
Yeah, I mean, Looper already with 100 armor. It's going to be so hard to kill him in that lane.
Yep. And until somebody's level 16, the Q is not fully converted to true damage. Although partially, it's going to be nice. See what more he can do for himself here, as he's just taking it very slowly in this one. Item deficit, of course, for this Camille. It's going to make it a bit harder to win the fight. Looper stays close enough range. There's no slow, no heal to be had from Someday's W. Smart to not kite back when that happens. That would be a trap. Wave is pushed in once again. A lot of damage to the mid turret, down to about 1/3 right now. Froggen getting quite a bit of headway down here. You figure one solid gank comes in, and that's likely to be a turret taken out, and first turret gold to Echo Fox. Acadian wards up that top jungle. You can see his 2 wards right there on your screen. Hope you can trap Shrimp back on the way down. No fight to be had, though, as instead Froggen's going to join him up on this side of the map.
Oh yeah, it looks like they might be just going for a
top lane.
Top lane turret first. I think they can get it no problem, actually. Shrimp just recalled.
Yep, the full rotation for everyone. Acadian going to join Froggen to make sure it's safe as well, and Echo Fox, actually. Their team comp should have the early game lead. They're playing with an early game lead, and they're making a couple of early game plays. 11 minutes, first turret of the game goes down, and it's in one of their 3 winning lanes.
Yeah, and I mean, also Froggen with a 45 CS advantage in the mid lane,
yeah.
Then roaming up, it's actually pretty rare when you have that big of a CS lead to then be willing to roam. Didn't end up having much of an impact, but if there would have been a defender there, Froggen would have tipped the scales in their favor.
Gate almost goes to the big play right there, pops the overdrive and runs at about 7 miles a minute. Lod kites him back and he's going to be okay. He says, hey, I'm Canadian, we use kilometers. Don't you dare. And out they go. Acadian now going to take away a blue buff. Well, the previous one was stolen by Shrimp. This time around, he takes his own jungle into control. Echo Fox sit comfortably on this 4,000 gold lead. Happily gives the blue over to Froggen, who is still wave clearing. So, patience of a saint right now for Echo Fox.
All right, this actually...
Take it now, just smite it.
So we talked about Acadian in the pregame and how he used to be this very selfish jungler and is now playing much more for the team. That was actually an inefficient level of playing for the team. The timing was pretty bad and he wasted a lot of time.
Ult into hook and to land all the damage. Lot is ignited, takes one more turret shot as well. The final shot comes in and Keith gets the kill. 3 and 1. What D tier, he says. Let's go for this one a little bit more as Big forced to run, pops the shield, goes for the root as well. The flash knockup is there. The chase through, one more shot, I'll do him in, and Keith is on a killing spree, 4 and 1. But summoners are all down. Quick TP accepted and then canceled out as well. Someday doesn't want to be in a 1v3 anymore. Stun, run away for Acadian. Wants to take more of Shrimp's jungle, who by the way is incredibly injured, and Acadian might want to kill him.
Yeah, I mean, he's a 27 CS Elise, but he's applying so much pressure on the map.
He's refusing to kill Krugs as part of it, but yeah, Red Buff going to be taken without too many issues, and still does have that level deficit sustained against Shrimp, so certainly is getting out farmed, but as long as you win the game, who even cares? 5,000 gold now puts Echo Fox ahead as they're pushing for top lane tier 2 a little bit. Acadian very much putting up a tent in this side of the map.
Yeah, and they can keep this level of pressure up. I mean, he's just there for an added level of security. If Looper gets into a 2v1, he'll be able to withstand it for a while, and then Acadian can go there to turn the tides. That's kind of all he needs to be there for.
Flash forced out.
Great gank, though, by Gate.
Absolutely the case right here. As whatever the team was just recalling anyway, Keith was buying items, getting back into the bot lane. There's nothing to do in the bot lane. It's essentially a free gank at that point. Gate loses nothing for his time. Gets a flash hit of Keen, mid lane outer turret falls. Gold lead, now almost 6,000. They can fight for the blue up. The hook's going to make it safe, and it should not de-aggro in time. So the burst's going to come through, and bam! Smite to secure. I think it was to help guarantee. Frog had a blue buff anyway. And now Shrimp is on top of a ward and feels very afraid.
Oh yeah, I mean, the level of early game pressure by Echo Fox is very impressive right here, and all their plays are working as well. Beautiful ult by Keith, makes an easy hook for Gate. Rod flashes and nets, but the damage is done. Big then makes a big run for it towards the end. Still has flash, but the angle is on the side of Echo Fox.
The flash E, the slow motion.
What? Gets him anyway.
Yep. And he's slowed, so there's no way out.
Yeah, and then even to the level of matching the teleport so fast. That's one thing that a lot of Korean top laners in the LCK are super, super good at is the instant TPs. Like as soon as somebody's going in, Looper's matching it, and then the instant somebody cancels, Looper cancels. Both these guys, very experienced Korean top laners, kind of showing that skill off, and it is advantage Echo Fox because they already had the advantage in the play.
Right, it's the most impressive, seemingly mundane skill is, wow, we get teleport. And like, if you're not a huge League of Legends player or a top laner, you're like, wow, you hit a summoner spell, congratulations. But there's actually just a lot of judgment that goes into it. In 4.5 seconds, is my presence required? Will it make a difference? Is it worth the minion wave I might lose in the top lane? There's actually a lot of forethought and communication and a lot of different skills going into, do I TP? Yes, no, why, maybe. And again, as you mentioned, it's a skill that the best top laners certainly have, and one that a lot of North American top laners have been maligned for not having back in the past. I would say it's improved over time. Either way, Looper, though, having the better game, you've got to say for sure. No deaths. First turret was in his lane, and he's got a farm lead as well.
I mean, I remember the days where people didn't want to take teleport on a top laner because you lose too much lane pressure because someone would have Ignite.
It's actually amazing to me that I remember back when TP first became mandatory, it was so much stronger than it is now. Like, back when no one took TP, TP was stronger than TP is today, where like the channel duration had gone down, it was a lower cooldown, we put it on turrets, everyone's like, oh man, TP is so strong. And it was still kind of an option, and then it became more and more accepted, and now it's just worse than it was when it first came across, and people are like, nah, TP's mandatory, you can't not take it. Yeah. As the game progresses, it's kind of interesting.
I think one big thing is the canceled TP still giving half the cooldown reduction.
Yeah.
And that's added to the mastery of these guys with teleport, because it's just, the spell goes to such another level when you're in an organized team, because the mere threat of TP completely changes the way you set up dives or play the game. And the fact that it's actually, in my opinion, a more important cooldown to track than Flash.
Yes.
When it's on the top laner, because of the impact that it has when it joins a team fight. More of just like the methodical way of setting up play.
Really agree with you. Being there on the map and being in position is certainly very important. Echo Fox are here with a 7,000 gold lead. And I'm still not going to be convinced with this one until they do something with it, though. They've had very slow, very sluggish mid-games, looking for the play on a Shrimp who can jump the wall if he needs to. He gets away from both those CCs. Just a bit of a fat wall, but he can do it, of course, on Kha'Zix. Mid lane clear is very easy for a Victor, though. So again, can they make this push happen? Well, they put Frog into the bot lane, but he eats a trap and loses half his health. Yeah,
I'm not going to be convinced by Echo Fox until the Nexus falls, pretty much, because we know how crazy a late-game Camille and Victor can be against an all-squishy composition that Echo Fox has. Their early game has been fantastic. They're pushing the way they need to, they're killing the turrets that need to fall, and they're not behind the pace whatsoever yet, but the history of Echo Fox and the way they could not close last game still make us skeptical, and they need to continue to play at this level.
We'll see if I can continue on to this one. Echo Fox waiting in the wings. And they are not really on a ward because the control ward turns it off. So Gate was in fog of war, but no hook to be had. Keen was smart enough to hug the top left side of his lane and not the bottom right. So that Blitzcrank rocket grab was not in range. Smart skill to have. It's why the pros don't get hooked nearly as much, because they just stand on the right part of the lane. Again, it's a seemingly mundane skill, but so important. The flash root's there. Look at the follow through. There's no way out. There's no way to go but dead. One kill picked up. Nicely done by Keith. A magnificent flash ulti. Someday burning down, but will stay alive. Mid laner gone, though. Keen is dead with heal down.
Keith, some of the best Varus ults in NA. Saw a pretty bad one by Doublelift earlier, where he totally whiffed in the mid lane and this whole team died. Not what happened here with Keith. 5-1 now on the Varus, too, so very nice play there in the mid lane, but what can they get out of it? Going for Rift Herald.
Here onto this one. Rift Herald gonna charge forward. Keith even dodges the Rift Herald damage. Immaculate play out of the Echo Fox bot laner right now.
All right.
Gaining stock rapidly. Sorry, I'm just responding to the Nero tweet at this point. I have to make up for all the Keith smack talk. Keith PogChamp right here. Even, wow, they are trusting him with everything in this game. Even gets the Rift Herald buff.
Don't get interrupted, man. I've seen it happen.
I have too. I cast one. We did.
Let's watch this. Keith with the, not sure if that was all flash or flash ult. It's always somewhat tricky to tell on the Varus. Keith has pulled off all flashes in the past, but anyway, lines up very easily with the hook on Blitzcrank. Didn't get the turret afterwards, though. A little bit disappointing because they had burned so many cooldowns just to get that one pick onto Keen, and then the wave was still clear. So instead, they go back for the Rift Herald.
And looks like right now, Echo Fox have triple Ninja Tabby. They are actually putting a lot of respect towards Shrimp and Someday and even Lot. It's a triple AD team after all. If you're going to build the defensive stat, it probably should be armor on this one. Froggen actually, a bit more aggressive, actually going Zerk Greaves, so
Yeah.
Really going for the damage up out of that one. It's a very efficient item. Can't hate. Just a little atypical for Lucian.
Yeah, I wonder a little bit as well if they're going to also build Hex Drinkers, right? Go Ninja Tabi for the Camille and Kha'Zix, or build a Hex Drinker for the Victor, because if you build neither resistance against any of these kind of bursty champions, as a squishy, like, he will be able to kill you if he ever reaches gold parity.
Yeah.
So I almost feel like Echo Fox, with the lead they have, would want to build a little bit of each resistance.
Totally agree.
But I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to try and push their damage lead and snowball this one through.
And they may. At least Gate's going to go for a locket, and so that'll help the team a little bit here in this one. You assume that'll be the next item out of him as he's building the pieces of Aegis of the Legion. Zonia's up soon enough for Looper. He'll be a bit more durable as well. Has plenty of armor with Ninja Tabi plus the arm guard. Wait to see what comes next as Froggen snipes down and makes sure that there's no wards to have to deal with on this Baron. It just spawned, and Echo Fox certainly trying to play for it a bit more aggressively. Let's see what they can do as Gate just patrols back and forth and tries to ensure that Team Dignitas cannot get any vision. And I believe it's actually entirely fog. So at a certain point, they have to guess, has Baron been started? And right now, Team Dignitas, assume it has not been.
Yeah, well, Keith's also got to throw the Rift Herald somewhere. Otherwise, that's going to expire in about a minute and a half. And this is exactly actually where Echo Fox should be forcing, since Dignitas actually has a lot of wave clear with the Victor and the Caitlyn. Good vision control.
They can do, and they're going to find Shrimp in the river. They're going to find him in the jungle. They're going to put the Equalizer down. They're going to have him the flash over the wall. Log going to stay alive as well, but now there's no jungler to be seen. But Baron was canceled all the same. They got some damage out. They got 2 summoners out of Team Dignitas.
They technically didn't need to stop Baron for that pick attempt, since it was just 2 people checking. I mean, Sunday's just been trying to get as much gold as possible during this. Still pushing the bottom side. If this Baron gets disrupted.
Ooh, they got the root, but not the hook. Gate was impatient with the rocket grab there against Big. And here comes the teleport in. Froggen around the other side of the wall, trying to join the team. They're going to burn it down. Yes, it goes to Acadia. Here comes the ulti in for Sunday, but he's kind of alone. The team's going to jump down. They get that first shutdown pick off as Varus has fallen. Looper on the chase gets one back. Now Keen heading away from Rumble as he's still got Shrimp on the wings. 4 versus 4 into this one. Missing a top laner, missing a bot laner. Echo Fox, though, wielding the Baron buff, able to walk back to the mid lane. They've got enough minion waves to use. They can push forward with it.
Yeah, a little bit dicey by Echo Fox, but they get what they want at the end of the day. No one except for Keith ends up falling. And Baron on 4 when they're trying to split push the wave so much, really valuable.
And it's going to be mid lane tier 2 falling. You've got to assume, even though it's full health, they've got the damage output to do it. Right now, Shrimp just taking away Gromp on the side of the map as Looper is recalled back to defend the bot lane tier 2. Has TP if they need him, but either way, it's going to be a reset. And one more attempt at the mid lane here, as Team Dignitas are mostly back in from their base. Shrimp is recalled. It's not going to be enough. Mid lane tier 2 will fall, and I think they assumed it was going to in the first place. It wasn't a huge commitment by Echo Fox, and Keith able to just summon the Rift Herald in time, but mid lane not an easy one to push down, as tier 2 is already dead.
I mean, the hope is that it gives them a large amount of chip damage, and what they want to hopefully do is have a wave of super minions crashing somewhere that demands attention, so it's not just a 5v5 that can beat down this Rift Herald. This thing isn't getting any extra tankiness just because he's there. 6,400 health on the Rift Herald. Oh no! He's running to his own demise!
Ah, he's trying! Can't be displaced! Half HP, down it goes. So they got half an inhibitor turret, which regenerates.
Yeah. I give that a like C- for Rift Herald usage. They've had so much control and they get mostly half a turret. You should be able to get at least a turret or a turret and a half with that type of lead plus a Rift Herald.
Unlucky. Just the way it is, though, on this one. Echo Fox going to just go somewhere else on the map. They've got an Ocean Drake to take. They're not going to go for it. We can watch that Baron fight again, though, instead, as they burn it down with Shrimp nowhere near in range when it started. But now Looper actually caught out on the bot side. 1v2. He will not survive. Equalizer used at a strange time at the very end when it does nothing for him. I think he was overheated for part of that fight. So he couldn't cast it any earlier. But that's a kill picked up. Meanwhile, though, Echo Fox able to push the top side of the map. They're going to take that one down without too much difficulty. 9,000 gold will jump to almost 10,000. And at 23.5 minutes, this is a massive gold lead.
Yeah, I mean, there's a real possibility they can end the game during this Baron buff, but if they don't, it starts getting pretty dangerous. Those types of deaths on Rumble can be very costly in the long term if they can't make progress with this Baron buff.
What happened to this is the minion's going to fall down for a little bit longer, and they will look to wait. Even though with Looper dead, Echo Fox still have more gold. Even missing a top laner, they've actually got more money overall. Base stats are still a thing, and they might try to wait for him a little bit longer. Somebody, though, does not have teleport, so the fact that Looper can match him is usually a positive for Echo Fox. And they will wait for another hook, and they get him! That was absolutely beautiful. That was pretty blind. They saw him leave a minion wave, and he guessed it right.
Yeah, really impressive by Gate. Gets the flash. That can set up for more flash ults later, potentially from Keith into Gate. Setting up that pick in the bottom lane once again, though. Someday basically faked his recall and is hoping that Looper makes the same mistake. They know his ultimate was down, and they're going to get him again.
They're going to jump him over the wall. He's got nowhere to go on this one. Down to 1,000 HP. Pops the Zonias, but why even bother? He's definitely going to be killed off, and now it's a 2-minute cooldown to get that active item back. But the rest of Echo Fox is coming in. That's why he popped it, because Akade is going to dual shrimp and get that kill, no problem. Spiderling goes off to the side, and Froggen gets him with the Ardent Blaze. Kill picked up for him, and now the bot lane is under fire.
Yeah, good for Froggen to pick up that kill. Baron just about to expire as well. I still think the kill trade is worth it for Team Dignitas trying to come back in this game. Still 10,000 gold behind, so very, very, very long road ahead.
Yes. See if they can pave it. Bot lane tier 2 under fire. It's going to be taking plenty of damage here in this one, and Echo Fox will drop down one more structure. 6-1 in turrets. They've given up very little this game. Just 4 kills and a single turret in the bottom lane. Echo Fox have primarily been under control here. And we asked, hey, you play an early game team, can you play the mid game outright? So far they have.
Yeah, look at this hook though. Just
actually insane.
Because the sweeper did not see him until after he was a little bit back in the base. The sweeper will reveal things within the range of the sweeper, but that was not within the range of that hook. And to talk to what you just said as well about can Echo Fox play this early game style, I mean, this game indicates that absolutely yes they can, especially for the first 26 minutes.
Yeah.
Still need to have that confirmation that they actually can, because I do really feel like if Laud gets to rapid fire cannon as well as, you know, an extra item on top of that, like a QSS, and then if Keen gets into one-shot range, they can do it. And also, Looper has to stop dying here. This is the thing that will lose them the game more than anything else. Every time he dies, they can't siege turrets with the same type of fury, and it delays the game 40 seconds for him to revive again. That's 3 times in a row that's happened.
Yeah, for a movie about going into the past and I think killing yourself, it's been Looper kind of doing that over and over again, I feel like. And rough stuff for him here into this one. I'm hoping to recover a little bit here, but certainly you can give credit to Someday and Shrimp as well for setting up that play. I mean, it's a bit of column A, bit of column B, obviously. He could do with better words, he could do with better situational awareness, but it's still good setups by Dignitas. Yeah,
and it's pretty tricky for Echo Fox when they're pushed up like this to actually have the wards in the side lane the Looper's trying to rescue. I mean, Someday's been very tricky with how he's been getting in these positions. Unlucky for Dignitas that Shrimp is getting the last hits, because if Someday is getting those last hits, he actually starts winning that 1v1 straight up without needing gank assistance.
Froggen's and okay, he's fine. It's a little dangerous being alone like that, but the rest of the team is coming around behind him. And now the siege continues. Oh, doesn't get that one. Sorry, Keith. The streak has been broken. The Varus ult curse continues now as he does miss that one on a Keen who sidesteps away.
I mean, this is when you start sweating as Echo Fox, because you had the basically 10 or 11,000 gold lead and Baron 5 to 6 minutes ago. And since then, Shrimp has gotten 3 kills. You've missed your flash ultimate. You've landed a hook on the Blitzcrank, but the flash is almost back up. That hook didn't even lead to a kill. And you haven't actually killed an inhibitor defending turret yet. So you got to get a little bit worried. Laud's almost at his rapid fire cannon. Someday has hit Titanic and Trinity Force, which is a big power spike. And Keen eventually will get to that Lichbane one-shot zone where you don't have the gold commitment to build the magic resist. Still not there yet, but the seeds are planted. We called it at the start of the game in a sense that this could be tricky for Echo Fox, and they're showing a little bit of fault trying to close this one out where they did everything right in the early.
Absolutely agree. If that 28 becomes 38, start sweating. Until then, pretend you got air conditioning right now. Echo Fox going to play for Baron number 2. It is alive. They got their first one early, so they've got plenty of room to work with for Baron number 4 to win the game. As we par for the course for them here in this one. 5,000, 45,000 gold for Dignitas. 55 roughly here for Echo Fox as they're going to play for this now. The wards across the walls. And they have pretty much zoned out everything. The one ward in the pit they actually don't see, but it's going to time out anyway, so it won't mean too much. It just now decayed. And by using the satchel, they're going to be okay in this one. Big culling to zone them out for Frog. They're still putting the burst damage down. They're going to find out. Big with the hook. First kill picked up, and they're still staying on this Baron right here. Damage still coming through for Keith, and they're going to take that one down, no problem. Just Someday still split pushing the bot lane, didn't want to TP in. So Big just kind of died for free. The Baron still comes through.
Yeah, I thought Team Dignitas was actually just giving that one up. Very surprised to see Big face check right into a Blitzcrank. Someday was just trying to continue his old gold total up. Now got about 50 CS on Looper. and then try and hold with Caitlyn traps and timely collapses by Camille and Cass, because I thought that was generally going to be their strategy. Just one kill they had to give over. Very poor redemption
I
plays
think he
there.
misclicked. There's a good chance.
He was trying to ward or something. Or sweep, maybe.
Who knows? But he definitely did it wrong. And that's going to be on cooldown. That said, 9,000 gold leads don't need redemption usually, so it might not matter.
Maybe he thought he was interrupting a recall, but probably just warding.
Yep, who knows? Either way, though, looking for the siege onto the mid lane. It's the entire team grouped up, except for Looper, who is holding the bot lane wave.
Yeah, and this may be actually the breaking point of the game. Can Echo Fox open up the inhibitors here? Because if Team Dignitas could win a fight or turn a fight here, you may not see Echo Fox be able to come back with it.
Right, there is no better time than now for Echo Fox to win the game, so if they can't, there is clearly something wrong. And Team Dignitas, this is your hardest test right now. If you want to win this game, make it 2-0. This is the hardest point in this game to win, and if you can do it, then your situation is going to be so good. Dignitas sending 2 to the top side. They're not going to find Froggen. Auto-attack some of this mid lane inhibitor turret. It looks like with a 3v2, they're going to have this one, but Keith a little gun shy. Whew. That is a jump out of Shrimp to keep him safe. Gate does nearly land that hook.
Yeah, minion wave in the top, crashing back in again. Froggen's going to try and take that. Keen doesn't clear the minions, instead goes for harass. And now they should almost certainly get that turret in the mid lane. Someday also just going on an adventure.
A little bit of an adventure for him, but the mid lane inhibitor turret does go down. The Rumble still staying inside the base, though. Looper just going to make sure he can remain on this side of the map. And Someday really just playing for himself. He's like, team, you guys can just slowly lose your base. I'm going to keep farming. I'm going to take some jungle camps away. I'm going to kill some scuttle crabs. Let's do everything else. I'll see you guys later. He is very much absorbed in his 1v1 against Looper. And now Froggen going to be jumped on the flash to chase. The slows are there. They can pick him up with the isolation, and Froggen will die for this when the burst is in. It took 3 members, but it was enough to make it happen. Now the chase in for Gate doesn't land quite the insect, or quite the mad, but the root is there onto Big. The shot comes through, and he's going to burn down to Looper just barely. Damage comes through courtesy of Deathfire touching Leandri's Torment, a 1-for-1, but it's a mid laner for support. You have to assume that supports Team Dignitas' chance at staying alive a little bit longer, but Baron Buff still on for a minute.
Hook down. Camille might want to go in if they have the people there.
They're not going to go for it just yet, but you're right. With Froggen missing, there was the chance, but maybe Baron Buff a little bit too contested for them. Gold lead now more than 10,000 as top lane inhibitor turret goes down. So now there's 2 open inhibs, 2 turrets for the Baron power play.
Yeah, and you can see Team Dignitas just doing everything they can to take down Froggen, interrupt his culling with the Chaos Storm, and then Keen actually getting away. Nice speed and blocked by Big, but the ultimate from Keith lands true, gets the root off on 2 people, and then eventually burns him down with that Ignite, I think it was at the very end. But actually, with the inhibs staying up, but just the turrets going down and Baron now being gone, I think that's a pretty successful hold for Team Dignitas.
Yeah, they didn't bleed too much. They lost maybe 1,000 gold extra on the Baron power play. We'll see the graphic at the end of it all. A lot of it is that Someday is continuing to farm. He is getting as much gold as possible, kind of putting it on himself to carry by being a split push threat. As so many Team Dignitas wins have been, it's around him, and he's certainly outscaled his lane opponent at this point. Individual gold-wise, it's only 500 up for Someday, but it should get worse from here. And being 500 up in a game where your team is down 10k is certainly above the curve. Another Cloud Drake picked up for Echo Fox, more movement speed to rotate back and forth. That'll be the last Elemental Drake of the game. No combat drakes here.
Yeah, at this point, you wonder if they're even just going to give up the inhibitor. I mean, look where Someday's Camille is. Eventually, Team Dignitas has to choose to make a stand, but it's on Echo Fox to force them into that stand, because they've just been chipping away ever so slowly at this team.
See what they can find. They're going to walk through the cupcake line a little bit, and they go back to the top lane. What CLG was a little bit slow to do, just to go away from the Caitlyn traps.
Yeah, it looks like this is the stand. For once, Someday is not split pushing, and he might be going for a flank. No GA, so he would get blown up if he gets hooked in.
Let's see if they find the play. Inhibitor going to fall. That's number 1 down. Hook's going to miss. Nice juke by Lot, and Someday going to get pushed down as well. A little bit of damage on a Gate. Shrimp wants to slow. He knew Hook was down. He was safe to go for that. Big wave top lane. Someone should join that at some point, but Looper does not have teleport, so it's a bit of a large request to have someone leave. They won't be available to rejoin, but it's going to be a double recall. Looper and Gate going to head to that side of the map. That's one thing picked up. Echo Fox, 34 minutes in. A bigger lead than the previous, and it was a 50-minute loss last time around. This time, though, they managed to crack inhibitors. And we'll see if it goes a little bit better. Still, a slow-to-win team, Echo Fox. Is risk-averse to a fault, you've got to think.
Yes, because being risk-averse, in this situation is in itself risky.
Yeah.
And what's weird is they were not risk-averse whatsoever in the first 12 minutes of the game, where if those plays would have gone awry, they just lose because they're going to be getting outskilled anyway, but they pushed the tempo so well, and they haven't necessarily done it yet. They're going to get the second inhibitor, most likely.
This is smart to be fast because they saw the Camille recalling in the bot lane after she shoved the wave, so they have a little bit of time with this one, looking for a few more attacks to knock it down. There goes the second inhibitor, and this time it was without Looper dying to knock that one down. 9,000 gold the difference, and ooh, wow, it's Froggen jumping in for damage. Culling comes across Someday on the wings. Snipe on towards Froggen, someone's gonna block that, and it will be Gate using his big Blitzcrank body to make that one go away. Only one inhibitor stands now, and those are pretty fresh inhib kills, so they'll be dead for the Baron take if they want it. Elder Dragon still several minutes away. That won't sync up quite properly for them. There's a big wave in the bot lane, so the question is, do they play Baron, or do they play for bot lane inhibitor? I think both are viable options.
Yeah, I think they play for Baron in this one, and then if they get the Baron, that's when they play for bot lane inhibitor because the inhibitors are so fresh as far as when they have fallen.
Guardian Angel now in for Keith, so his build is done. That's not including Magic Resist. Well, sorry, he's still got Control Ward, so there's one slot left to go. Maybe it'll be Scimitar. We'll see what comes through. Final item for Froggen will be 80% crit finalized.
Yeah, probably going for a Static Shiv and going for as much damage as possible.
Keith? What? All right. Yeah.
Yeah, they've lost vision of Baron, and they actually don't have minions that can get to those turrets yet, but this is still pretty tricky for Team Dignitas. They're going to have to get back to base and clear those out.
And thankfully for Echo Fox, like, they can just kind of play the mid lane anyway, and if you misplay, they just take your Nexus down with a 10,000 gold lead, so theoretically, options are there. Poor Shrimp only on 3 items, plus boots. He is farmed well, but the team is behind significantly here. We'll see what comes in next as Echo Fox look to make their next play onto this one. Knight's Vow had been bought by Acadian. Of note, the item gets weaker when you're in human form because you're now a ranged champion. It's always interesting bringing that on form swappers. I'm pretty sure on Ivan, if you walk into a brush, you lose power on it too because you become ranged when you grab
or it's just a range extender. It depends how it's coded, whether it actually makes him melee ranged. I keep saying I'm going to test that, but I never do.
It's just not really worth it, I guess, but technically could makes it worse in the case of Acadian, but not to be a huge problem regardless. Dignitas actually push in the mid lane wave. They've got access to mid tier 2 if they want it, but they know if they show that much, it's an easy Baron rush, and they're going to try now.
Yeah, we talked about mid lane priority, and Echo Fox doesn't have that right now, so they get big.
They get a lot of damage on him, but he pops the shield and walks away. Ulti finds Shrimp, but there's no follow through a Cocoon, and then Baron is kind of making it a 6v5, so...
Yeah,
Echo
that's
Fox,
not good.
Running away from fights in open field is not what you want when you've got a 10,000 gold lead.
They have to be respectful of the Camille flank and the Victor ultimate.
Froggen flashes when he's got a blast cone.
The timing is on the side of Echo Fox, even so. Look at the super minions pushing up towards that top lane inhibitor. Someone's got to go back for those, but it can be Someday. He can clear them, and then he can still teleport back. So Echo Fox hoping to get some type of miracle here.
Ooh, not looking to land the flash cocoon, but that almost could have been a kill for Big. He still saved the flash, though. He knew he wasn't going to get shot, and he was right about that one, so maybe a bit too greedy. Looking again, though, what the play is. 2 have recalled. They see Someday and Shrimp on the other side of the map, so here comes the Baron Rush, and there is no Kha'Zix, there is no Smite in range. They can burn this down 100% of the time as long as they go for it, and they don't screw it up, and Acadian gets the Smite, so that's Baron picked up. Here's Someday in the back line. Chaos Storm's doing a bit of damage, equalizer to separate, and now Looper pops the Tony's right on time, and he's got 3 by himself. In the gravity field, he's going to die, but they're going to get the Guardian Angel off of Someday, who jumps the wall and still falls for it. Now Froggen on the wrong side of the fight. The chase in, the jump forward by Shrimp, but he doesn't have the damage up for it just yet. Keith cutting away the back lines and does trade his life in. Now Froggen rejoins, but Exhaust comes in and buys a bit more time, but Keith gets the knockup. The revive comes in for Keith, and they make it happen. 2 alive versus just Keen now. Froggen versus Keen. Inhibitor still dead. Froggen should win this.
This can be game if Keen doesn't pull off something.
There we go. 60-second death timers, 2 alive. Echo Fox should have everything they need to win this and pull us to game 3.
And we mentioned the Team Dignitas had to make their stand at some point. They thought that was the best opportunity, but Froggen with his huge damage build avoids the burst pretty much the entire time. It wasn't as crisp as Echo Fox would want to do it, but they took the early game lead and eventually pulled it to victory.
And that's going to be it. The respawn timer is still too long. It's going to be GG. Echo Fox under 40 minutes, maybe longer than you would have liked, but to get these kind of leads is still the mark of a good team, and Echo Fox hoping to make it a 4-2 end of the week. Acadian has yet to lose a match this split so far, hoping to make it game 3 to come through 1-1 in the series.
Yeah, and you can see they're not super pleased with that because they actually were smashing for most of the game, but it has to have a certain sense of relief to not lose that massive of a lead, because paying attention even to some of the player cams during that game, I got to see Big being incredibly vocal during that game, being a cheerleader and making them think they stayed in that game, and they pretty much did stay in it for a really long time. And that last fight was still actually very close and was a big breaking point for the game.
Yeah, and I think that graph, the gold graph in the game is going to be interesting because it's going to go up and to the right and then flatline for about 10, 15 minutes and then finally close at the very end.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, Big saying, hey, Dignitas was still in this one. Absolutely the case. It was going neck and neck for a while. You figure if EchoFox can win a fight, they win the game. If Dignitas win a fight, the game is closer. Odds obviously still EchoFox's favor, but it was close for long enough, or at least they were treading water long enough. It was a bit of a closer game in this one. Either way, EchoFox do close it out. No comeback win to be had. And now for more thoughts on that series, let's send it over to the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I mean, what a crazy start and a crazy finish. The fact that the game even went as long as it did, given the lead that EchoFox had built, says something about the game, and we'll get into that. But EchoFox,
we'll get into it.
They'll be happy to have picked up the victory and at least extended us to that Game 3 in order to have the opportunity to take the series as a whole. Immediately looking at this, the Camille is what jumps out to me, obviously. Again, this was a very popular pick back in spring, which was first released and whatnot, but has largely left the top lane meta since.
And it's kind of a surprise to see it, given that fact. It's obviously still has the crazy late game potential that you sometimes see. You know, the Fiora's out. EchoFox banned that one away, and it felt like they wanted to put something on to Someday, because they're pretty confident that EchoFox doesn't close games quickly. And they're right. So you want to put Someday on some late game hyperscaling threat, and Camille is that with the Fiora gone.
And to be fair, he got to be that late game hyperscaling threat, of course, just in that final fight, getting zeroed out and not able to do the 1v5 carry. I want to take a look at how the lead developed for EchoFox, though, because if there is one major thing that we're going to give him props for, it is this early game and the establishment of the early game lead, all off the back of Acadian and his smart jungle pathing.
Right, so you saw there that Dignitas with Shrimp went for the full red side clear that set up Acadian B in the bot side jungle for like the first 5 minutes of the game. They get this kill on mid lane, and then here with no flash available on Someday, he jumps onto Looper, who has ultimate available. Now you have no mobility to get off this. The best you can do is ult on top of it and hopefully negate a little bit of damage. Either way, a horrible 2v2 to make, given the fact that they knew that Acadian was in that jungle brush, in the top lane brush, excuse me. And
right, they had that warded.
Yeah, they knew that that was going to be a 2v2. I guess they thought they could burst the Rumble down or something. It was very surprising to see that go forward.
Yeah, exactly. One of the few missteps out of both Shrimp and Someday within this game, because if there were any two people from Dignitas that you're going to credit with extending the game, it would be those two off the back end of the first Baron from EchoFox getting a few key picks.
Yeah, after those plays, you saw the gold lead at around like 5K at 13, 15 minutes, something crazy like that, and it kept ballooning up until they got their first Baron, and then once that happened, Looper started getting caught in the side lane over and over and over. It was a good job by Shrimp and Someday to find those kind of angles, so you got to give them some props for that, but at the same time, it took way too long for EchoFox to close this game out.
It took way too long. Let's go ahead and take a look at the final fight where they were able to finally close it out. But as Jat mentioned in the cast, yet again, conceding that mid lane priority on every trip back to the Baron. So in a sense, lucky to come away with this one in the way that they did.
Yeah, they're just constantly forcing themselves into these messed up situations where they have to be dealing with Baron and kiting out and peeling away at the same time. This was super close to not going in their favor at all. You have a late game Victor here who's almost able to get a bunch of cleanup kills. They're lucky he was shut down so hard in the early game, because this was not a great fight at all. They almost are able to get this one. Small mistake by Shrimp jumping in there for the Blitzcrank. Probably would have been better to sit back and wait for Keith to come back up and blow him up instantly with your Victor and maybe play it out from there.
Right.
Either way, tough spot to be in on the side of Dignitas.
But again, look at that gold graph. And this is what's funny is people go, well, hey, that's all blue, so that's a good gold graph, right? I think you can look at that and you can say no, because here's the thing. What we want to see is exponential growth, right? A small lead nets more kills because it opens up your opportunities strategically to capitalize on the gold lead that you have and further increase it. In this situation, they shot up to an early gold lead, and then you kind of see it just slowly taper until they eventually found the one fight they needed to win. But if they didn't have that gold lead, they would, to support that fight, they would have lost it.
It's a situation where like any good team is going to find openings. So, your gold lead go up and then go down a little bit, but go up and then go down. And as long as you're, playing with your lead correctly, it'll all on the whole start trending upwards. Exactly. There, complete opposite. graph you want to see. Totally, logarithmic breaking down.
Right.
And that's the problem that you see is that they aren't able to close the game when they have these massive leads. They have double inhib down. Took them forever to get those inhibs as well.
That's where it feels still reminiscent of Echo Fox from Spring. Acadian will receive player of the game here because once again, as was his Spring characteristics, getting those early kills, putting those early advantages onto multiple laners for him. Let's remember that not only did they get those kills in the top lane, as we saw in the replay, Froggen had a 30-40 CS lead very early on into the game. And so when you have these advantages across the board, that's all well and good, but the same issue persists for the team. How do we close it out cleanly? Yes, they closed it out, not in a pretty fashion.
The worst part is you didn't see the improvement where you were hoping to. Maybe, Looper gets picked off in the side lanes and you say, wow, great job by Dignitas finding these openings. But late game, double inhib down, still not playing with minion waves. It's just like kind of beating your head against the wall here where like at some point you're just making the game hard for yourself. It's like you don't want to win easily.
Now, and to that end, they are giving themselves in some situations tools that will allow them to end games. When we look at the support role in particular, that's where I can see one of the biggest difference makers for Echo Fox this split is not even necessarily the player, right? It's just the fact that he can now play things like the Blitzcrank. We have the Rakans coming back in. We have the Threshes. There's opportunity to make picks, start fights, and immediately make it a 5v4 game as opposed to having to take that 5-on-5 with the karmas that we used to see.
Talking about that draft again, just real quickly, I think like you saw Dignitas' only real pressure point on the map being their bot lane, but when you take that Blitzcrank into a karma, you have really strong all-in threat, especially when you combine it with an Elise. You can't play that lane as aggressive as you really, really want to, or if you do, you are really risking getting hooked all in and then that lane falling behind the Varus one. So no power point on the map once you lock in that Camille, and it kind of played into Echo Fox's strengths while trying to exploit their weaknesses. Maybe you look for something a little more balanced in the late game or in the third game.
All this said, Echo Fox does scrape together the victory. They will extend the game, or rather the series, to a Game 3. Tune in for the conclusion of Team Dignitas versus Echo Fox after a short break. Don't go anywhere.